Okay, I'm going to show you how to save some money. Lots of times, first of all, this is a CV joint out of a car. I took it out once again so that I can show you an easy way to fix it. Sometimes these get noisy in the end because, of course, what happens from steering and rotation, the grease ends up going out into this boot. And let me show you a little trick. What you do when that happens, if the boot is not broken, just take a small screwdriver, fit it in here if we can. What we're going to do is remove this clamp. Once you remove the clamp, this part here that's bent, just squeeze it with your vice grip. Take some needle nose pliers, straighten that out a little, not too much. And what we're going to do, I'm just making it so that the clamp can be reused. As I reuse these, some people put hose clamps on them. That's an option sometimes, but I find it easier just to reuse the clamp. But first of all, I'm going to show you what you're going to do here. So when this is in the car, like I said, you don't need to remove it. I just did it today to show you so you can see it clearly. All the grease is out here instead of being in here. So what you do is, of course, in the car, it works a little easier. Let me show this on the phone. So when you get the boot out of that groove, just keep pushing the boot towards the CV and push it as hard as you can, and that pushes all the grease back into the cup. So once you do that, then you can turn your steering a little bit, put your boot back where it belongs. This is an old used CV joint, once again, just as an example. So put your boot back in place and then take your clamp, put it back around. Just wait, a little bit of grease there. Put it back around. So then you'll lock the clip back in its little hook. You'll see that when you take it apart, and both clamps work the same. And these are just a pair of pliers for, I think, breaking tile, but they work really good on CV clamps. So then you just place it back on that block and squeeze the clamp again, and it's locked on where it should be. And the same thing for this one. If your boot is not broken, you can, like I said, open up that clip, remove it, pull the boot back, put in CV grease. You've got to use CV grease because it does flow, whereas regular grease won't flow. Wow! Okay, pushing the boot back.
Yep.
Okay, pushing the boot back will force the grease from the boot into the CV bearings, and of course, once you got that done and get your clamp back on and your boot back in place, then you can turn your wheels back and forth. Even when you drive it a little bit, that'll make the grease go in around. Now, this only works if the boot is not broken. If the boot is broken, you've either got to replace the boot or the axle, whichever is easiest or cheapest. In the meantime, another thing you can do too, and like I said, these clamps are reusable, is if you feel that there's not enough grease, you can, once again, put your screwdriver in, pry that clamp back and forth. And you don't have to take the CV out to do this. It can be done in the vehicle. When you get the clamp off, as I showed you before, where are my pliers? Oh yeah. The trick is to straighten out that so you get a little more reach. Don't straighten it too much because you're going to crimp it again. What you do, once again, while it's in the car, you can peel back this boot and you'll see inside of your CV joint, you'll see how the grease has been all pushed back in around the bearings. If you don't have to do this unless you're going to add more grease. If you add more grease, you can buy packets of CV grease, or you can buy tubes and just squeeze it in there. Put your boot back on. Put on your clamp. And easily, just take the clamp, snap it back together.
Wow, that was easy.
Yeah, no problem. And then take your pliers and just squeeze her again. And now the clamp is reset and boot is good. Anyway, that's a lesson in CV joint greasing.